Have you ever sat in a meeting and started thinking, what on earth am I doing here? I don't know what I'm talking about. Somebody's going to find me out if I open my mouth. 70% of people experience this. And actually, in leadership circles, that rises to 92. So you're in very good company if that's something that you've experienced. So we're going to shine a bit of a light on this today, and we're going to look at what is this phenomenon? Why does it happen? And 3 practical tips for managing that. And I say phenomenon, it's hard to say that, phenomenon, not syndrome. A lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, but it's not a disorder. It was named in 1978 by Clancy and Imers, 2 highly respected researchers, and they did their first body of work with high-achieving women and found out that so many high-achieving women feel like a fraud. And there's a very sound reason for this, because in terms of neuroscience, and you know I like my neuroscience, our amygdala scans for threat consistently. It's its job. It needs to be doing that. And unfamiliar territory triggers an alarm bell. This isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that you're stretching. But it becomes a problem if it makes you shrink. And it gets worse the more accomplished you are, because you know more of what you don't know, if that makes sense. And it's at its worst during transitions. I was coaching somebody, let's call her Sarah, and she was headhunted from a stellar role in financial services to become a member of the board in a cultural sector. She was unbelievably qualified for that role, but she didn't feel like she was. She thought, I don't know this sector. I don't know what I'm talking about. What on earth am I doing here? And it made her shrink. So she wasn't contributing in the way she was capable of. She wasn't giving to that board what she could give. We worked on this in the coaching, and actually what she came to realize that actually her difference was her strength. And once she started reframing that in her mind, she realised that the fact that she wasn't a member of that sector, that she was bringing an outside perspective, was actually massively valuable to them. And that had a huge impact on her confidence. So how do you manage this? So many people suffer from it. People talk about it. How do you manage it? First thing, name it to tame it. This is called effect labelling. Dr. Matthew Lieberman from UCLA, he talks about this. Naming something reduces that amygdala activity. So you can be quite playful with this. You know, you can kind of go, oh, hi, imposter, you're here again, imposter alert, you know. And actually, if you can bring yourself to be playful around it, that creates distance from that self-defeating thought that somebody's going to find me out and I shouldn't be here. One of the healthcare directors that I work with, she used to talk about the imposter alert, and she shared it with her team, and they used to laugh about it in team meetings, and people used to say, you know, oh, hi, imposter alert. And so when it becomes funny, then actually you're taming it. You're absolutely taming that self-defeating thought. Secondly, build your evidence base. Imposter thrives in a vacuum. Fill it with evidence, not assumptions. So one of the exercises to do is to get yourself a notebook or a digital notebook, doesn't matter which, and then think about what have you achieved, what have you been told that you're good at, and what are the problems that you've solved. And be specific, not vague. Not, oh, I'm good with people, but I turned around a team that was in transition. I absolutely affected a culture change in my last organisation, because the accuracy, again, tames that assumption that says, I'm no good at this, I don't belong here. And so if you can fill that vacuum with evidence, real evidence, because you will all have real evidence of things that you've achieved, specific things, then again, it stops that imposter syndrome phenomenon growing. Reframe your difference as an advantage. This is the 3rd tip. So imposter takes difference and says you don't belong. You say, my difference is my strength. I have a perspective that others don't have. And then it becomes your greatest asset. One operational leader who moved into a strategic role in consultancy. He found this very, very powerful because when he first sat around the table in his new role, everyone else had management consultancy experience and he didn't. And so again, he was starting to shrink. He was starting to think, I don't fit the template. I'm not like the other people in this room. But then what he realized was, I'm the only one in this room that's actually done this stuff. These people have been in consultancy roles, but I've been on the ground. And so actually that makes this my greatest asset. Let's summarize. This isn't a sign that you don't belong. It's a sign that you're stretching, that you're trying new things, and that you are in a space where your amygdala is going to start kind of wobbling and thinking, whoa, unfamiliar territory. But it isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that you care. And as I say, that you're stretching. 3 tips. Name it to tame it, build your evidence base, and own your difference. If this episode has resonated with you, then come and find me either at loisburtononline.com or on LinkedIn, and please share with a leader who you think will benefit from this. This is Leadership Trailblazers, and remember, the way we led yesterday won't lead us into tomorrow. Thank you.